Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Nduma, and today I'll be talking about the top three most asked questions during the residency interviews and how to approach them. So stick around and enjoy. So the first most commonly asked question during residency interviews is the "Tell me about you" question. I can guarantee you, I got this question 99% of the time as my very first question. And generally, you want to prepare one minute and 15 seconds to 1 minute and 30 seconds response to this question. And tell me about you is your opportunity to sell yourself, your skill. Humanize yourself. Let someone get to understand who you are, where you come from. But then you also want to use this avenue to outline the skills that you have, and then your hobby. So all of that encompassing, someone can actually kind of have a visual picture of who you are. So for me, this is how I answer this question. Tell me about you. I was born and raised in a small country in West Africa called Cameroon. I'm the fourth of six children, and I'm first generation physician, given that I'm the first in my family to go to medical school. I went to medical school in a neighboring country of Nigeria, where I graduated in 2014. Ended up practicing as a primary care physician in rural Nigeria for close to 4 years before coming to the United States to pursue this career. Since arrival here in the United States, I have um, done a lot of other things to improve my skills in the clinical wing, including working in clinical trials as a clinical research coordinator and a clinical research regulatory specialist for close to 2 years, for which I was also able to publish about 13 articles, 10 of which I'm first author. I've also done a lot of clinical externships, had a good understanding of the way the United States healthcare system works, learn how to use the electronic health record system, and I think I'm totally prepared and ready to start residency. I'm also hungry to learn. And when I'm not working, I love to cook and clean. I love to travel. I do gymnastics, and I love to play indoor golf and top golf. That's how I answer that question. And the reason why I answer that question in that light is because I want to make my listeners know who I am, where I come from, but at the same time, I also want to let them know my hobbies. But also at the same time, I want to summarize everything that I've put in my personal statement and my resume, and just kind of give them a visual picture of who I am and what skills I possess. There are a lot of other ways you can do this. You can start by humanizing yourself like I did, and just go ahead and list your strengths, and then you list your hobbies. Some people approach it that way. Some people say they don't expect you to outline the things that are on your resume. I actually encourage you to outline, the skills. You don't have to just, say your resume, and that's why it's 1 minute and 15 to 30 seconds. You don't have to outline everything that is on your resume, but pick the skills out that you want to sell to your listener, and showcase it to them. That's how I believe you should answer these questions. There's no one correct way of answering it, but humanize yourself. When you're preparing your response, humanize yourself, your hobbies, let someone understand that you're jovial. But then, in the middle, you can outline your experiences, and then, bring out certain skills that you have. And, that way, someone is going to have your attention, and try to make it short. 1 minute, 15 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Um, so that's how to answer that question. The second most commonly asked question during residency interview is, why this specialty? And why this question is actually being asked is to make sure that you have given serious thought into getting into residency. I know that picking a specialty is very difficult. So a lot of people just jump from one place to another, and some people start residency, and in the middle of the first year of residency, they realize that the specialty that they picked was not their favorite specialty, and then at the end of the day they want to drop out of the program, and this actually kind of affects the programs. So they want to make sure that you have given enough thought into why you choose that specialty, so that you don't go in the middle of residency and say, hey, you can't do this anymore, and you want to leave or you want to change specialty. So um, answer this question, just to give in a way that you give your listener the idea that you have put a lot of thought, you know a lot of thinking into this process. And again, I answer the question, this particular question, um, using again information from my entire application process, because my idea is I want everything that I wrote down and everything that I say to be consistent. Some people again say that you don't have to go about regurgitating your resume. They already have that information. I personally believe that they already have the information, but they want you to reinforce it, because if whatever is in your application is consistent with whatever you're saying, then you come out as genuine. So I will answer this question: why this specialty? Well, I was first of all introduced into medicine because I grew up in nineties. During the 90s, during the HIV pandemic, I lost a lot of family members to HIV, AIDS, and so the doctors that I saw in the community fighting this pandemic were internal medicine doctors, and so I grew up having them as my heroes and aspiring to be an internal medicine doctor. But when I went into medical school, I realized that there were so many specialties to choose from. I was falling in love with the ability to share the joy of a new childbirth with the OBGYN specialty. I fell in love, the pharmacokinetic of drugs in, anesthesiology and so on. And so I was just falling in love with everything. But, at the point, I spent the first half of my medical school trying to figure this out. But at the point I decided, I'll just go to the HIV clinic, I'll recalibrate and start from the beginning. Go to the HIV clinic and, just volunteer out there. So I did that a lot, and then, eventually met some mentors, one infectious disease, one internal medicine, and they have been mentoring me ever since. And I've never seen internal medicine the same again, and I fell in love with internal medicine all over. And I've practiced as a primary care physician, technically as an internal medicine doctor in rural Nigeria before coming to the United States. So I'm pretty sure that I want to do internal medicine and nothing else. So if you look at my response, you see that I have systematically over the years put in some thought process into this specialty, and gradually, and I've grown up to it. I've considered other things, and I finally landed on my interest in internal medicine. And so anybody listening to me knows that this person has really put in some thought, and this person knows exactly where they want to be. And that's how you want to answer this question generally. So when you're preparing your responses to this question, have that at the back of your mind. Let anyone listening believe that you have put in a lot of thought into this process. The third one is, why this program? That's the third commonly asked question that I got asked. Why our program? And this is where program research comes in. You should have researched that program, very well. You should have known anything that it's outstanding in that program. Every program is outstanding in their own way, but you have to try to figure out what is outstanding about that program, and that's what you use to sell yourself. And then you can also use things like geography and family ties. For me personally, I wanted to stay in the south. I love the weather here. I don't think I can deal with snow. I come from Africa. Africa is pretty hot, and so my body and I feel more comfortable in the Texas climate, the Texas weather. And so I really wanted to stay in the South Texas. I ended up matching in Mississippi and then moving to Dallas. Stay in the southern axis. I really enjoy the temperature out here, and and the weather as a whole. So that was one of the factors for me. The second factor is I have a lot of family. Most of the family I have in the United States are all in Texas, in the South, and I want to stay closer to family because it makes my life easier, to navigate residency with all the stress. Family support is, it's a no-brainer. It's absolutely vital. So that's the other reason why I wanted to stay. And these are the things I'll highlight. And then, specific things about the program if you're particularly interested in clinical research. And if the program is, into clinical research, that's one thing. And then for me, I was also looking at the residency community that, that connect with each other. I like, I'm a very personable person. So I like to be in a place where I can connect with other people, residents. I don't like egos. Egos. One person's ego going up through the roof, and the other person's ego. And then that balance is not there. So that's one of the things I was looking for. A residency community that is united, in one front, and then approachable faculty is another thing. And these things look so simple, but you'll be surprised. A lot of programs don't have it. I've just been lucky to have landed in the places where I've had awesome, residency communities, and really very approachable attendings and faculty. And so those are the little things. So you do your program research and put that together specific to that program, and then you use words. that will cajole them, because I will usually say things like, "That's why I choose your program. Tell me why, why our program." Well, I was looking when I was doing my program research. I was looking for residency program that has an awesome residency community where the connection between the residents is really great. They are united and they understand each other. And I was also looking for approachable faculty. And when I was doing my program research, I connected with people in the program. I've been asking questions to this person and that person, call them by name, so they whoever is listening to me I've been in contact with people from that program. It's a plus, which means I've actively been looking at that program. And then say things like I'm interested in clinical research, and I see that you have two clinical staff available to assist us with whatever clinical research project we want to do for publication, and stuff like that. And that's why, looking at all of this, I'm pretty sure that's where I want to be. And I'm probably going to rank your program number one, something like that. And that worked for me. So um these are the three commonly asked questions during residency interviews. If you have a particular question that you want me to, you know, explain to you how to approach it, you can leave it in the comments, and I'll be very happy to, let you know why those questions are asked and what they are looking for, so you can have an idea. If you have an idea what they are looking for, then you have an idea how to prepare your answers, to make it right. And then typically, one or two interviews, not usually, not most of them. For most of my 5 interviews, um, most of them, just like one or two did I actually get asked, to discuss a clinical case. But you should have that one or two clinical cases. Talk about an interesting case that you saw, and why it was interesting. So and if you are someone that has actually published case reports, then this is a no-brainer for you, because case reports are interesting cases. What they are just looking for is something that a patient that you manage that was outstanding. For example, I recently had a case, heart failure. Sorry, um, myocardial infarction with no coronary vessel disease. We went and did a CAD and it was negative. So that's outstanding, right? So, and that's a paper worthy presentation. So that's what basically they are looking for. They are looking for something interesting that you saw, and possible case report kind of material. If you can have that, that would be great. Just get one of those kind of cases and have them in your pocket, and just keep them standby in case you're being asked that question, because it's a pretty common question asked too. So yeah, any other questions, leave in the comments, and I'll be glad to answer them. And if you all want me to, have like a Zoom discussion, you can also reach out and let me know, and I'll be very happy to do that for you all. So thank you, and you all have a wonderful week ahead.